I don't have a cookie cutter one fits all program. All of my clients start out with an
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Keeping America Beautiful. And the purpose of Keeping America Beautiful is just that, keeping America beautiful with allied professionals and tradespeople. Today we have a very interesting guest, Miss Deborah Clark. Deborah's a interesting lady because she is a Toastmaster. She's an author. She's a coach. It's hard to tell what she's not, but she's a little bit of everything. Welcome to the show, Deborah. How are you today?
Hi, Bill. Thank you for having me. I'm having a great day. Hope you are too.
Yes, yes, yes. So tell us, Deborah, are you from New Jersey? Are you a New Yorker? How did you get to New Jersey anyway, in the area?
Born and raised in Newark, New Jersey.
Okay, and you went to Rutgers, is that right?
I took some courses at Rutgers, Bloomfield College, attended Arts High, and graduated from Clifford Scott and East Orange.
Oh, wow, you got around. You got
Yeah.
around. And so tell me, what did you study in college?
My professional career was mostly in administrative support, like operations, management, training staff, a lot of experience in meeting preparation, presentations. In Toastmasters, I was an area governor where I visited other meetings and evaluated the meeting processes, trained fellow Toastmaster officers, presented workshops at conferences, all of that.
Wow, that's a lot. And so, like, I noticed that you're a Toastmaster. You have the designation of the DTM. Is that what it is?
Yes, the DTM is a Distinguished Toastmaster, which indicates that you have completed several levels that are required by the organization to gain that status, which would include the area governor position, along with having held several officer positions and having completed a specific number of speeches.
Oh, okay. Now, how many speeches have you completed?
Over 100.
Over 100. So,
Yeah.
so, so I know you have a book out, but without referring to the book, give us the 411. A lot of people, based upon what your book is saying, are afraid of public speaking. Is that why you got involved in this?
Well, through I was fortunate in that my Toastmasters participation was a corporate club at my job, which we met at lunch hour, but it was company sponsored. So we had a big advantage in that respect, where they gave us meeting space and supported a lot of our events. So as I was working there as admin support to marketing, virtual admin to team leads across the United States, and supporting managers and assisting them in their meeting, conferences, and presentation needs, I was in Toastmasters, and I was also involved in a corporate Black cultural organization called READ, Roach Employees of African Descent, where I held several officer positions and also coordinated meetings and functions. So I was speaking as part of my job, and Toastmasters is really a practice ground for you to make all your mistakes in front of a live audience and get feedback and evaluation from the members to help you improve your skills.
And so, why is it important to have Toastmaster skills?
Toastmasters encourages individuals to listen to how they communicate on a different level. The object of a good public speaker, and that's everybody, we actually practice public speaking skills every day. Every time you communicate with someone, that's really public speaking. A conversation between two people or more technically is public speaking. So when you're in Toastmasters, you learn to quell that fear, that trauma of being in front of a group. But we all need to have good communication skills. I mean, what if you have an opportunity presented to you where your job depended on it, and you have not prepared yourself, you haven't practiced, you don't know basic speaking skills, you don't know introductions, you don't know how long to talk, you don't know how to express your thought in a clear and concise manner in a timely fashion, which is very important. So my objective in my what I do is to again help people overcome the fear and help them recognize that public speaking should really be a basic skill that everybody should have.
All right, so like in your book, there's a lot about that, the fear factor, and I agree. Some people are, a lot of people like that, but as a tradesperson or a professional in the Newark area, how could you help us?
I offer individuals an opportunity to, okay, I always encourage Toastmaster membership, but Toastmasters requires a commitment and it requires time. So a lot of my clients are concentrating on a particular project or event, and I can give them the skills they need just for what they need to get done, as opposed to starting an entire program. I don't have a cookie cutter one fits all program. All of my clients start out with an initial consultation where we sit down and talk about where you are, what your experiences have been. Did you have a presentation and you flopped it and you just will not get in front of a group again? Are you preparing for a particular presentation? Do you have an event to go to and you need a pitch speech? This is how I work with my clients. And after the consultation, I put together a program or a plan that I think would help them, and I give them some tips I may have identified during our initial meeting, and we kind of take it from there, because I want to give you what you need. I don't want to give you all the other stuff. Yes, the other stuff is important, and I always cover the basics, but we want to get you to your most comfortable level as soon as possible.
All right. It sounds personal, but it sounds very thorough. Now, Deborah, what about this? Let's say for a tradesperson, you're saying that it's important that we all understand the value of public speaking. And if you're speaking to someone else, if you go to someone's house to deliver a service, that's public speaking, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So what would you recommend? What would you suggest to a tradesperson in terms of taking your knowledge, and how could a tradesperson use it? Just something similar. It's a simple thing. I'm not going to speak in front of a bunch of people, just one person.
I would have to think that a well-spoken, well-presented tradesperson would absolutely impress any customer, since they may not particularly be looking for that type of presentation from a tradesperson. They would probably assume that they're a tradesperson and they don't really have a lot of concern about how they present or how they speak. So the more professional you are, the more to the point you are, especially when you're coming to deliver a service. You want to be informational to the client, and you would like to have as much information as you can you want to persuade them to let you do what they need to get done. So you should always have a pitch speech, like an introduction speech, or something quick that can describe who you are and what you do. When I was networking, marketing my book and my business and going to networking events, I had a pitch speech that I would always say, and as I went around the room and people come up and introduce you, I would always say, "Hi, my name is Deborah Clark. I'm a professional speaker, and I mentor individuals who want to improve their public speaking skills. How do you feel about public speaking?" Always opened up the conversation, because I would be always surprised to hear business owners say, "Oh, I don't do that. So and so does that," which was amazing to me, that you have this business, it's your business, and you are leaving the responsibility of communicating your business to someone else. That is not a good idea.
Yes, it's just like you want to get married, right?
Yeah.
So you don't do you do the Sarah the Bergerac bit, right? You have someone else talk for you.
Right, right.
Well, okay, so and that's very interesting because I had to laugh because of your presentation, not because it was funny, but because it was so well thought out and it engaged with the person by asking a question. And it just seems that many people don't really ask questions; they're more into like telling stuff.
Well, it's a question, but it's an open-ended question, and it gives the individual an opportunity to usually, if it's an open-ended question, you'll get their gut reaction because if you hit the right nerve, of course, relative to what your agenda is. I guess for a tradesman, you might want to ask them if they've had this particular issue addressed by someone else. Did they have a bad experience with it? Is this the first time this thing broke down? And make sure you understand what they're expecting. How do you want this to look when I'm done? Um, Anything like that, I think for tradespeople might be more appropriate.
And what about a professional like an accountant type person?
Well, an accountant has a different advantage because usually when people come to an accountant, they have a specific need. They're usually a little more stressed. So for him, it would be important for him to gain the confidence and make sure that the client is comfortable with them because, that's money and it tends to be very personal. So they would probably want to have a lot of conversation with the person to find out. I would probably concentrate more on where are they in this project? Are they organized? Do they have their paperwork together so that he knows exactly what he's getting into?
Oh, great! And before I forget, how can people get in contact with you? So that because this is really, I'm excited. I said, wow, I got to go get my stuff tightened up. So tell us, how can we get in contact with you?
I am on LinkedIn, and I encourage everyone to send me a friend request on LinkedIn, Deborah Clark DTM, or you can always connect with me on alignable.com, where you can meet other professionals in your community.
Now, that's alignable.com. And tell us a little bit about that, can you?
It's actually a networking site for small businesses in the area where you can participate in community forum discussions where people bring up various topics of problems and situations that they encounter in their businesses. And you can also connect with people that are close to you. You can meet with them physically, go have coffee, and it'll give you an idea of what's available. You might not need that service right then, but you could have a client where you could encompass more services in your actions with the client, because you can refer them to others that could fit another need they have that you might not have any experience in.
Now, I looked at your book, and then I think it was you got a glowing review from your sister.
Oh yes, thank you.
So tell me, how many you have? Any more siblings?
I have a sister and a brother.
Okay, all right. And so there were three kids in your family?
Yes.
Oh, wow. And so now, back to this, to the speaking stuff. So now you do public speaking and you're a coach as well. Tell us about that. What do you do as far as coaching?
The coaching is actually part of the one-on-one client relationship where, as I mentioned, people will reach out to me and say, I have for example, I had a client that came to me and said a new entrepreneur was just launching his business and he needed to prepare for a pitching event. There very frequently there are events held in New York City, all over, I would imagine, but you are in competition with other entrepreneurs and you have to give a pitch speech. You have a specific allotted amount of time. You have to put a PowerPoint presentation together, and you have to know your stuff. You have to be confident in what you're presenting. And again, you're trying to persuade investors who are there to support your product. I had another client who was in Brazil. He didn't speak a lot of English, and he needed to go to Google in California because he was one of the finalists again in a pitching type competition where he would be sponsored by Google or and presented on their website. And that was fun to work with him. He knew English, but he wanted to make sure again that he was presenting his ideas clearly and again timely manner. A lot of times when you're speaking, well, you should always have a time or be given a time amount of how long to speak. And if you aren't given a time, you should ask how long you have. Very important.
Right. So I didn't know you're international now, right?
I have had some international clients. It's the internet. You get people from everywhere.
And so now so it's like you're like one of those guys who prepares people for Shark Tank, right?
Well, I'm in several online networking groups, so that's how I get a lot of those referrals.
So what is, like, let's say, the most, well, let's put it like this way. What was one of the greater challenges you faced in that capacity, and how did you overcome it?
I think my biggest challenge was when I was working full-time admin support. I was in Toastmasters, I was in Read, and then, as if I didn't have enough on my plate, I had an opportunity to join Judy Morio, who was a fellow Toastmaster. She works out of Vegas, and she was publishing the first issue of the Life Choices book series. I think there's maybe 6 of them by now. But the first book, they're all 20 or more professionals, and we contribute a chapter in our particular area of expertise. Some of us share life experiences. So I had an opportunity to be part of this project. And right after the book, just when the book was getting published, that's when I got laid off from my job. But again, I was able to combine my professional experience and my Toastmasters experience to start my business. So the timing was good in that sense. And it was when I was actually marketing my book and doing my pitch that the business grew. That's how I got a lot of my clients, more clients for speaking than I did for the book.
Oh, okay. So this is the power of the word, right?
Absolutely.
And so now, is there a particular, let's get back to the presentation. Like when you meet somebody, just, are you automatically in that mode, or is that just reserved for business engagements?
In everyday interactions?
Yes.
No, I'm usually pretty relaxed if I'm not in a business environment. I have a mindset for presentations, but I don't think I'm there all the time. No.
Yeah, it would be kind of like stressful, right?
Well, you have to have an objective. You have to have, a presentation has to have an objective. What is your purpose? Are you there to educate, entertain, be humorous, persuade, or inform? The same thing for speech. So there's a reason why you're doing a presentation.
So now, what's the National Speakers Association? That's one of the organizations you're affiliated with?
No, I'm not in the National Speakers Association. It's actually a lot of individuals who complete their DTM and Toastmasters and who have, they have a minimum amount of public speaking events that you have to have had in order to qualify for membership. So if you were in Toastmasters, and a lot of people who speak as part of their job, who are trainers or hold a lot of group events, and there's quite a few, if I'm not mistaken, usually join National Speakers. It's like bigger than Toastmasters. It's a level up from Toastmasters.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know that.
But the individuals in NSA are more experienced speakers, I should say. They have done more speeches, and they are ready to. And a lot of them are, they're ready to go to the next level.
What's the next level? What does that mean?
Where you have more clients and you speak to larger groups, like big conferences. You also train other members with workshops. It's similar to Toastmasters format, but the clientele is more experienced.
Oh, I see. Okay, it's a higher grade.
Right, right.
Once again, before we forget, how can we get in contact with you?
Send me a friend request on LinkedIn, Deborah Clark DTM, or connect with me on alignable.com.
Okay. So now, here we are. Now, you're with this other organization. Oh, I know. You're a motivational speaker. Is that correct?
Well, I am a motivational speaker, but that was really part of my Toastmasters experience. I'm more of a mentor than a motivational speaker, but I have done it.
Okay. All right. And it sounds like there's a lot of motivation needed these days, right?
Oh, yes, yes.
And I see that you're contributing to these wonderful magazines or uplifting articles and things like that. So you're a upbeat person.
Thank you.
So now tell us, what would you be doing if you weren't doing this? I mean, like, this is the only thing you would be doing in life. If you weren't doing this, how would your life be?
Well, that's an interesting question. Like I mentioned before, I was administrative support for most of my professional career, and all of these things I did in addition to that, and this is something I encourage everyone to do, to not just have a job and work hard and hope things get better. You should always have something else that you do, and even hobbies for some people turn into lucrative businesses if they lose their job and find themselves at a crossroads in life. So I don't know where I would be, what I would be doing. I don't know if I would have the drive to excuse me, be as creative as I am. But again, I think my most fortunate um, accomplishment was being open to opportunities. And if you are working a job, especially corporate environments, offer a lot of groups, associations. I used to do a lot of volunteer work, administrative support in an acute care facility. I fed the homeless. You have to do something else besides just go to work, because there's more to you than just that job.
Right. And so that leads me to the question: what is your why? I mean, what is your reason for doing what you do? Why do you do this?
I love doing the mentoring. I get so much pleasure in seeing people wall of fear just kind of crumble, and when they finally get it. And these days, especially with the popularity of YouTube and Facebook Live, you don't want to just, there's so, I mean, it's like we reserve good public speaking skills for politicians and priests. It's like, it's okay if I don't speak well, but you want this other person to sound really good at what they do. You can sound just as good as the other person. You should listen to people who speak. I think if people were more knowledgeable about just the basic skills, as I mentioned before, how to introduce yourself, how to give a speech for 2 to 5 minutes. How long is that for you? It's different for everybody. How many times have you been to an event where the speaker just seemed like he was never going to end? You don't want to be the person that everyone goes home and says, boy, that guy, he just didn't want to be quiet. They won't remember a word you said. You have to be polite in the public speaking arena. And I love teaching people that. I think that once they understand the basic parts of a speech, your introduction, your opening, the body of the speech, the closing, how you bring all your thoughts together at the end, and you close it out. You don't just stop talking. People need to know that you're finished. There's a lot of arguments about introductions. Should you say your name? Should you not say your name? It's your speech. You can say whatever you want as long as it's relative to your topic, and be sure that your topic is relative to your audience. And when people understand that, I think they listen differently and they expect more when they're communicating with other people.
I see. So now here's a question I want to ask you. Maybe you have the answer, maybe you don't, but what causes the fear? Why are people afraid to speak in public?
You know, public speaking is considered the number one fear. More people are more fearful of that than death, divorce. And I think that it's just being so out there, so open. It's so in front of a group. Where are you going to hide? You can't hide. You're out there and people can see you. And that, I think, is what the fear is about, because you're not, you know, on your phone, you're not on a computer. And it's part of the times we live in. People hide behind computers. They they don't think they need to be seen, but they want to be heard. But nobody can understand what you're saying. And if you don't get in front of a group, you need to see how you look. Stand in front of a mirror and make a speech. Watch your facial expressions. Are you projecting your voice out? How's your eye contact? Are you looking up at the ceiling? Are you looking down on the floor? How's your posture? Are you standing tall? Most stages have a speaking space. You usually have, 3 to 4 feet that you can walk back and forth. Use that space. It's there for your comfort. If you have a podium, the podium is your friend. It's okay to stand behind it and lean on it. That's what it's there for. So these are little things that can really help an individual in being more comfortable when speaking in public.
So besides the physical props, it's some type of emotional issue that you help them deal with. Is that what you're saying?
I think for a lot of people it's emotional, because I found that even in my mentoring, which is where it kind of turned into coaching, I would have to implement other devices to try to get people, I often recommend meditation. I often tell people, here's a mantra for you to repeat to yourself in the shower in the morning, just to help you get ready for your day. You need to shut yourself down from a lot of outside negative emotions that are feeding your anxiety. So it's important I've had clients come to me and say, oh, I need to improve my public speaking. And next thing I know, they're telling me about the relationship with their parents and their kids. And I have to get them focused. I have to bring them into the now. I have to make them understand the difference between all that stuff in your head and what you need to get done. So
how do you do that? How do you get them focused?
I meditate with them. We discuss what the problem is and identify it for what it is. Don't pretend it's not a problem when it is. Okay, you're obviously very upset about this situation. So let's let that situation be something that upsets you and put it in the upset room and close the door, because today we have to do this. And the more you acknowledge that it's in the room, eventually by concentrating on other more positive things, you'll forget the room is there. It's not going to go away, but it'll be in the room.
So once again, I know you have committed to a few minutes with us. So this process that you love what you do, and that's why people should work with you, because you love what you do, right?
Sure. I mean, you can Google public speaking and get a million different types of trainers and mentors. A lot of them, like I said, are set. They run at certain times. They want this amount of money, and they will probably give you a lot of stuff that you may never use. I might not be the only person out there. I know I'm not the only person out there, but I might be the best person for you. So you should call LinkedIn, send me a friend request, or connect on alignable.com.
And you said call. Where can they call you?
Well, connect with me on LinkedIn, and
Okay.
we'll take it from there.
So it's LinkedIn and alignable.com. That's where they
Yes.
can.
Yes.
And is there any other major thing you want to share with us today? Any upcoming events? A new book coming out? You going to Mars? What's up?
No. I'm actually working on some personal projects right now, so Mars is going to have to wait.
Oh, okay.
I certainly appreciate the time that we spent together today. It was a surprise to hear from you. And again, I am certainly encouraging people to send a friend request on LinkedIn. We'll talk. I always talk to my clients first before we do anything. And don't forget about alignable.com.
So you give them an assessment. Is that what happens?
Yeah, well, we talk about where you are in terms of your public speaking experience. Have you spoken before? Um, what happens, the anxiety, how do you feel? I sometimes give people exercises to do before they speak, how you can go in the bathroom and do some breathing exercises before you go out to present. Are you
Ah, right.
practicing your speech? Do you
Now
enjoy?
we're getting at it. We're getting into the meditation, the breathing. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank Deborah for coming on, Ms. Clark today coming on. She's keeping America beautiful in her own way. She's helping people speak comfortably, overcoming fear. That's what we need in America today, keeping America beautiful. So again, thanks for coming by, and I want to thank you for coming by, and we'll stay in touch, and looking forward to your next book.
Thank you, Bill.
All right.